Howdy, peeps. Today we're going to discuss the fundamentals of the dating journey and one fundamental principle in particular. Join the Journey Radio starts right now.
Maverick to range control. Entering Point Alpha. Confirm green range.
Maverick, range control. Green range is confirmed. I don't see an event scheduled for you, sir.
Well, I'm going anyway.
Nice.
I get all excited. I'm like JoJo, the idiot circus boy with a pretty new pet.
Excellent!
No different. Only different in your mind. You must unlearn what you have learned.
Are you mocking me?
We don't want you to get ruffled. Let's just say I was agreeing with you in a totally unusual way.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth.
You can't handle the truth!
Now, do you need me to elaborate? Or can we just crack on?
And here we go.
Hit it!
Welcome to the infusion of positive energy into the lives of single Latter-day Saints everywhere. This is Joy in the Journey Radio.
And welcome back, peeps, to another wonderful, splendiferous, joyous episode of Join the Journey Radio. I am Lance, your host for Join the Journey Radio, and this is episode number 422. Be where you are. Try peeps, be where you are. If you're joining us live for the program today, apologies for the late start. It's just, there's a big winter storm coming in and there's a lot of hustle and bustle related to it. So, and I personally myself feel like I'm coming down with something. So I'm expecting that tomorrow I'm going to wake up, everything's going to be covered in like multiple inches of snow. It's going to be butt cold. No one's going to want to go anywhere. And I'm going to feel like going anywhere because I think there's something that I got developing in me is just going to come out and say, yeah, we're going to be full force. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. So if you're joining us for the live program today, feel free to join the chat and let us know where you're watching the program from. If you are watching the program at a later date, what the holy Hebrew hey are you not doing in the live stream? Come join the chat. Join the live stream. Join the chat so we can have a discussion about these wonderful topics that we present about LDS singles life. And we can help each other. Thee lift me and I'll lift thee and we'll ascend together. So yeah, if you're watching the program after the date, then yeah, just make plans to join the next live stream. And then in the meantime, leave a comment down below the video. Tell us where you're from, because that will help us with the algorithms to push our content out and let more and more people know about the wonderful resource for Latter-day Saint singles that Join the Journey Radio is. All right, peeps. Today, I want to start with an apology. First, I want to apologize. Last week, I said that we would return to book club with a book that would extend our discussion that we had last week on holistic weight loss. Normally, I buy the books I feature on book club, but in this case, I borrowed the book from the library because I've been facing a challenging financial situation lately. Well, the book came due in the library. I had not yet read the whole book, and I couldn't renew the book because I'd already renewed it once. So I had no more renewals left. So I had to give the book back. And I ended up ordering a paperback version, which for me is like a compromise position. Normally, I love the hardcover. I just love hardcover, right? And of course, because I'm ordering online, it took some time to arrive. Once it did, I found my attention was placed elsewhere because here we are at the beginning of a new semester. So there's a lot of activity going on with that. I was able to secure one adjunct teaching position this semester, teaching one class. And that started this past week, actually. So I've had my first couple classes already. So there's a lot of busyness that's been going on. And I saw that the next live stream, which is what we're in right now, okay, that was approaching. And I'm just like, I'm not going to be able to finish this book and prepare to discuss it in time for the live stream today. So I decided to adjust the schedule. We will discuss the book next week, so you can look forward to that. Again, my apologies. But for this week, I decided to discuss a topic that I hope will make up for postponing book club until next week. This isn't the first time that we've discussed this topic here on Join the Journey Radio, but it has been quite a while since we discussed it. And recent events have highlighted the need for me to talk about it once again. Let me explain. For some time, I've been part of a group of LDS singles on a U.S. on the here on the East Coast of the United States that have been communicating through an app named Marco Polo. And for much of that time, I've been behind on the messages and trying to catch up. A friend advised me to skip ahead and join the conversation at its current point. And normally I would follow my friend's advice. But as I have shared lately on the program here, nothing has really been going right for me. And I felt like I needed a win. And I felt like catching up with all these Marco Polo messages after being farther behind than anyone was probably in all history. I think this was the win I needed to acquire. So now that I'm almost caught up, for the most part, I've seen that my friend was right. Most of the conversations haven't exactly been life changing or worth the time that I've given to listen to them. I could easily have gone without them, but I say most intentionally. There was one conversation that I found particularly enlightening. It was a conversation about dating, one that was intriguing in its genuine openness and authenticity. And now, as I listened to these LDS singles talk about their perceptions and their experience with the dating journey, I could not help but notice some common patterns. One commonality I noticed was a desire to progress in the dating journey and a frustration with not experiencing that desired progress. Another commonality I noticed was a confusion regarding the stages of the dating journey. The perception shared did not seem to recognize any boundaries between the different stages, but rather considered everything as part of some undefined or at best ill-defined nebulous blob. These commonalities combined to create a final commonality: utter and undeniable confusion. Confusion at not knowing why progress seems so elusive. Confusion at not knowing how their current situation could ever change. Confusion at not knowing what to do about it. Now, to be clear, many seem to assume that the missing element preventing progress in their dating journey was knowing how to cross paths with that special someone. And as we've discussed here on Join the Journey Radio, that is only half of the equation. The other half being the need to be acceptable enough in order to secure the agreement necessary to progress. But there was a shade of another confusion that seemed to overshadow everything in the conversation. Much of the confusion seemed to come from the apparently common propensity to put the cart before the horse. To those sharing their perceptions in the larger conversation, everything seemed super serious, as though any step that anyone might take comes attached to serious consequences. This highlights one of the advantages of focusing on the fundamentals of the dating journey, and in particular, the topic for the program today. By understanding the different stages of the dating journey, you gain the freedom from undue stress and freedom to experience joy in living in each and every stage of the journey. How does that happen? Well, when you understand the different stages, you understand there are boundaries, and those boundaries allow for different levels of commitment in the different stages of the journey. Thus, everything about the dating journey ceases to be super serious, and you can accept your experiences in each stage for what they really are. And that aligns you more with truth, which is the knowledge of things as they really were, as they really are, and as they really will be. The more you align with truth, the more joy you experience in life. In terms of your dating journey, aligning with truth frees you from the worry of being in a stage of the journey you don't want to be in. You progress on your terms when you choose, provided you have the essential elements we mentioned earlier. Because progress in any stage of the dating journey is made only when you have the agreement associated with that stage. The other person can want all that he or she wants. If you don't want to go to any stage with any person, you will not be there in that stage with that person because you can't be in a stage you choose not to be in. You have to have an agreement in order to progress to any stage of the dating journey. That is a fundamental principle of the dating journey, which highlights a particular topic for the program today. If you don't progress without an agreement, then obviously being agreeable enough is essential to progress in the dating journey. That concept of being agreeable enough is extremely subjective and means very different things for different people. What one person might find completely repulsive, another might find merely tolerable, and yet another might find quite agreeable. Adding to the complexity is the two-way nature of any agreement in any context. Each party must find the other agreeable enough, and so that subjectivity goes both ways, and in each direction can have a completely different defining profile based on different values. Confused yet? Well, there is hope. There is always hope because there is always Christ. Partnering with Him and heeding the voice of the Spirit can help you make the changes in you that you need to make to become more agreeable to the one type of person you need to bring into your life. Let's be clear. You don't need to be agreeable enough to everyone. You aren't looking to marry everyone, and you are not an interchangeable part. You will be marrying only one person, and so you need to be agreeable enough only to one type of person. I say type because there is no such thing as a one and only soulmate, but there is a group of people who conform to a particular type that would be best for you, and anyone from that one group will give you what you need for a successful and joyful marriage. In addition, despite the highly subjective nature of two paired people being acceptable enough to one another, there are some common attributes that apply across people generally. And we've talked about several of these attributes here on Join the Journey Radio. Today, we'll talk about one in particular, that being the need to be in the place where you are. How does being in the place where you are help you to become acceptable enough? Mostly it happens through the energy that you broadcast. You see, everyone is broadcasting an energy signal that conveys information about what is happening with someone on the inside. So people who have their stuff together on the inside are generally more attractive than people who aren't, right? People who don't have their stuff together on the inside, because people who have it together are more reliable and more perceived as a source of strength, which can be useful when life starts going the way of a roller coaster car. And here's the thing about the energy we broadcast. Everyone has both a receiver as well as an emitter. And that energy signal we receive from others enters into the evaluation equation that determines whether or not someone else is acceptable enough. So if the energy you broadcast is not of high enough quality, your chances of being considered agreeable enough are not that great. That's where living in the place where you are can help you. When you live in the place where you aren't worried too much about what may or may not happen in some other place where you are not now presently. That translates into a higher quality energy that you broadcast to others, which communicates strength and confidence. And if there's one trait, right, that attracts a quality covenant woman, it's confidence. Of course, confidence goes the other way too, right? I mean, men like to have women that have a certain type of confidence of their own. So it goes both ways. Now, living in the place where you are also allows you to tap into the sources of joy that your current position offers. In every current position, there's something there there's some source of joy that you can tap into and find. right? So many of us forsake these sources of joy because our focus is too much in the place where we're not. We want to put the cart before the horse, right? And instead, what we need to do is focus on where we're at, keep things in their order. And that alleviates a lot of the confusion that a lot of people feel. So when you're able to tap into those sources of joy that are in whatever place you're in, feeling that joy translates into the energy that you broadcast, increasing the quality of that energy as well as the quality of the response you're going to get from others. Because if you broadcast higher quality energy, you're going to get higher quality response. So other people are going to detect that higher joy that you have in your life, signaling that your life is one worth sharing. And it entices them to say, yeah, I think I'd like a slice of that pie. So the question then becomes this: how do you live in the place where you are? This is going to sound like super simplistic, but I mean, it's the truth. You simply get in a habit of focusing on getting the most out of your current position, and you don't think that much, if at all, about what comes later. Now, in saying that, I'm not suggesting that you completely ignore the future. There are times to make plans and assess your progress during those plans. And by all means, you should do that. By all means, make plans and assess progress in completing those plans. But when you're in the moment of living life, focus on maximizing that moment and getting the most joy and positive energy out of it that you can. This is one area where the fundamentals of the dating journey become helpful. If you are in the friendship stage, for example, then you simply focus on being a good friend and quit trying to interpret everything through some romantic filter. Romantic filters are not for the friendship stage, they're for later stages. So don't put them in your present if that's not where you are at present. You see, again, that puts the cart before the horse. If you're in the friendship stage, focus on being a good friend in the friendship stage. And when you do this, see, this is kind of counterintuitive to the way we think. 'Cause normally we think about the friendship stage as that place where you don't want to be, right? Like you want to progress with a particular person, and that particular person rejects you and sends you to the friend zone. And we treat it like it's this sort of hellish landscape that nobody really wants to be in. And I think we need to transform that. We need to turn that idea up on its head because the friendship stage is where it all starts. The friendship stage is a legitimate stage of the dating journey, and it forms the basis, the foundation for any relationship that you're going to have in the later stages of the dating journey. So you gotta it's gotta be focused on that friendship. And so yeah, it's the first stage for a reason because that's where you're forming that foundation. So if that's where you are, focus on being there, right? And actually, when you focus on being a good friend, you actually increase the probability that you're going to be perceived as agreeable enough to make that agreement you need for the next stage of the dating journey, which is the casual dating stage. Remember, there's two types of dating. That's another confusion I noticed is that in the conversation that I was seeing in Marco Polo, no one seems to be distinguishing between casual dating and exclusive dating. And they're two separate stages of the dating journey. And you tend to make more progress when you focus on the stage that you're in. That requires you to make a distinction between the two types of dating. If you don't make that distinction, how are you going to be in the place where you are? How are you going to be in the stage where you're at? How are you going to maximize the joy? You don't even know what stage you're in because you're confusing everything. You've gotten rid of that boundary between casual and exclusive because you assume everything is the same. Having that boundary lets you separate that out and focus on being in the place where you are. So when you secure the agreement, that moves you from the friendship stage to the casual dating stage. Then you can bring in a low grade romantic filter, but only for the length of the date activity because that aligns with the definition of the casual dating stage. the definition of the character of that stage. Stop worrying about like what anything you do here is going to mean for the future. Oh my gosh, should I do this? Should I say that? I mean, that sends you nuts. That sends you batnut crazy. Stop it. Okay? That's not where you are. Right? You're worrying about all these things in the future, but you're not in the future. You're in the present. So put yourself where you are at. Okay? In the casual dating stage, right? Any commitment between the two parties does not begin until the date activity does. And once the date activity is over, so is any commitment between the two parties. That is what makes it casual. So when you focus on being where you are, you're free to focus on just maximizing that moment and getting the most joy you can out of it. And here's the thing that isn't exactly intuitive. We tend to think that we need to guide the present into the future we want. And so we're constantly thinking about how the present connects to the future. But it's only when you let go of that and just live in the moment that you really can be your best self in the present. And it's your best self that broadcasts your best energy that then helps to convince the other person to find you acceptable enough so you get the agreement you need to progress. Remember, no agreement means no progress. And the highest probability of securing that agreement comes when you maximize the quality of your presentation. Like the sum total of what you're offering someone else in terms of your person and your life. The best way to do that involves living in the moment and being in the place where you are. So learn to let go, right? Learn to be in the place where you are, right? Learn to let go and live in the moment with intention. Partner with the Lord and let Him guide you along the path to your best life. When you do this, you'll find that your best life is not so much in arriving at a destination as it is in the journey there. That will bring you more joy in your journey. Well, peeps, that's all we have for this episode of Join the Journey Radio. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. At this point, if I actually had somebody here to join the program, I'd be like introducing them and we'd have like a further discussion. But yeah, I don't have that. Still working on that aspect, peeps. So thank you again for your attention. If yeah, let's actually do it this way. Let's actually go and let's see if there's anyone that left anything in the chat. Looking in the chat and not seeing anything. Peeps, you need to light up the chat. Let's have discussion. I'm sure somebody has something to say about what I just presented. Let's have the discussion. So we're not going to have it with the chat. So I guess we're going to have it offline after I load the video up to our social media channels. So if you have something you'd like to say about what we discussed today, leave a comment down below the video. If you have a topic or a question you'd like to see us address on a future episode of Join the Journey Radio, we're happy to help as we can. Please leave a comment down below. If there's something that we can do to help you overcome the challenges of LDS singles life, then yep, you got it. Leave a comment down below. And for those of you who are super shy and don't want the world seeing what it is you might have to say to us, go to the website, jointhejourneyradio.com, and there's a contact page there where you can fill out a form and leave us your message, and we'll be sure to help out as best we can. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our content that you find helpful so the algorithms will get more of our content out to help other LDS singles everywhere. So until next time, this is your host reminding you there is joy to be had all along that journey. So take that joy and journey on.
You and I have witnessed many things, but nothing as bodacious as what just happened.
Check it out! Look at I'm in really bad shape. Come on, please,
Bob,
please.
Bob.
Give me. I need.
My God, pull yourself together!
I get to lay in a bed by myself all of my life. It's fantastic.
You're killing me, Smalls!
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
Wait till I get going. Where was I?
Suck it!
Run away!
Bye-bye, boys!
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye-bye!
Yeah, we did it. We did it. Come on. Give me some. Give me some. Give me some. Give me some of that. Yeah. Woohoo! I will see you cats on the flip-flop later.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.